distinguished panelists, friends, and colleagues. It is a great pleasure to be speaking today at yet another important webinar organized by Green Hope Foundation and its brilliant founder, Kekashan. Friends, I have spoken before that the only viable agenda we have today is Agenda 2030. The agenda does address all aspects of the needs of the people and the planet. If implemented with commitments from all stakeholders, it would lead us to the future we want. The visionary Future We Want campaign was launched and concluded before 2015, upon which the SDGs were adopted by all member states of the UN. It is well recognized that to achieve this global agenda, it is essential to engage and partner with all stakeholders and adopt untapped innovative approaches. Multilateralism remains our only option to cooperate in achieving the goals that would take us to a better future. The international system, represented by the UN and other development organizations, is ready. More than 750 multilateral environmental agreements have been concluded over the past 50 years. Then, why are we still facing unprecedented environmental challenges? Ecosystem decline is increasing, climate change is speeding, soil and ocean degradation continues, air and water pollution is growing, rubbish and waste is piling, and new diseases are attacking us. Ironically, there are 61 treaties related to atmosphere, 155 to biodiversity, 179 related to chemicals and waste, 46 to land conventions, and 196 conventions that are broadly related to issues dealing with water, and many, many others. Negotiating environmental agreements takes years, and once done, they are ignored. So, what is the story? First, competing requirements between environmental agreements and agreements related to trade and economy. Second, the global economic agenda promoted by developed countries makes it difficult for poor countries to compete or meet environmental requirements. Third, the show-off syndrome of countries where they sign global agreements during global conferences but then do not ratify them or integrate them into local laws. Fourth, changing leaderships that change national agendas, which then reflects a weakness in the global environmental governance and institutionalizing it. Fifth, lack of integration between related and relevant agreements as being administered by different organizations. These challenges to the global environmental governance system cannot be solved or adequately addressed if we do not solve a very important underlying cause. That is the lack of system of values, the ethical approaches, and the moral responsibility of nations, institutions, organizations, and individuals. Psychologically, people as well as governments feel the ethical and moral responsibility to help people in their close proximity or under their jurisdiction on issues they witness happening around them. The issue with global environmental challenges such as climate change is that a coal burning in the West has an adverse impact in the East. The air conditioning enjoyed by the rich countries can turn to a flood or a drought in a poor country. The ethical aspects of environmental problems need to become much more central in public discussions and in policymaking. The irony is that there are great examples that we can learn from. The ozone layer is a global issue that does not have one point source but has been considered as a global issue. Yet, governments have joined forces, agreements have been reached, and concerted efforts have been exerted to tackle them, with obvious positive results. The international community has had a number of windows of opportunities to collectively act. The COVID-19 pandemic is one of those windows that presents itself as an unfortunate opportunity. We do not want other global catastrophes to wake up. We are already living through one, and we need to learn our lessons. So, what are the ethical values that we need to collectively adopt? There are many different principles in environmental ethics that have been studied for many years, but it has been difficult to tackle them from a global point of view. where it serves the rich and the poor as well as the people and the planet. For example, it is unethical and unlawful to cut a tree in a rich country, but it is unethical for a poor person in a poor country to cut a tree or to cook a meal for her children. Therefore, we need to focus on a few that ensure justice to the people and justice to the planet. Environmental justice is one major ethical principle where it addresses inequitable access to environmental resources. But what is needed here is also sustainable justice that considers inequalities between the current generation, who has enjoyed depleting almost all our natural resources, and the rights of the future generations, who will be left with nothing but challenges to face. A second ethical principle is the moral significance of all forms of life, as all forms of life are entitled to enough of their needs to live and to flourish. This obliges us to include the needs of others, whether people or living things, in our considerations for our own well-being. The third principle is harmony with others and harmony with nature. Harmony obliges us to cooperate and unite in solidarity to face our common challenges. Under this principle, when we think about stakeholders, we do not talk only about youth, women, and civil society, but also we consider other living things as members of our living natural community. For the above, the United Nations Environment Programme is working with some governments to adopt a global resolution integrating ethics, moral, and spiritual responsibilities in global environmental governance. What we need to rebuild better is to look within and find common ethical approaches to sustainability.